Hi there. I wanted to film another episode today. This one is a little bit different than the others, and this is why. It was actually a dream I had that kind of rocked my world. But I got to kind of preface it in where I was in my life with this. It's a really difficult time uh, in the nation. It was right after the Sandy Hook shootings, and I I was just heartbroken with that event. It just rocked me, and I didn't know what to do with it. But I was pretty sad about the whole thing, and with the children um, being killed, and it was just awful. And I didn't know what to do about it. And I think that was in late 2012 that happened. And so what I did this isn't actually anything I did other than ask the Lord to help me understand why I'm grieving. I mean, it's obvious why I was grieving, but it was more about what can I do about this, and what do you do about this, and what's the difference? I don't know uh, where my part takes off and or where my part ends, what I'm supposed to do when he tells me, and then where his part. I was confused at that time in my life where that that line was. Does that make sense? So anyway, I had this dream. It was 12/24 of 12. So December 24th, Christmas Eve, 2012. Documented it. After I had this dream, I knew that it was super important. Um, but I didn't know what to do with it, and Dana suggested that I document it. Well, I'm glad I did. I haven't told anybody this dream. It's pretty hard to tell. Um, it's a tough dream to hear, um, but I think it finishes pretty good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read it, then discuss it a little bit, then read it and discuss it a little bit. So here we go. Um, Evening of Christmas Eve. I fell asleep. Uh, I pushed my friend through the hospital on a gurney. I knew his condition wasn't serious. I found myself asking for direction, and I came to a nurse, and she told me to take the first left through the double doors, then through the maternity ward, and you'll be there. I don't know what that was all about. So as I took the first left, I found the stainless steel double doors. I hit them kind of hard with the gurney, and on the other side, I hit a nurse with a baby. I panicked and dove for the baby, catching it right before it hit the ground as I held the baby in my latex gloves. I couldn't believe how slimy the baby was and how difficult it was to hold on to. Once I took a closer look, I realized the baby was severely deformed. It had additional lips on its cheek, along with leg issues, and was throwing up all over. I had a difficult time holding onto the baby while trying to clean it and keep it from choking. The nurse showed me how to accomplish this. Then she uh, went on to show me that all the babies were severely deformed and or retarded. I'm like, what is this? Just then, a hamper type device with a wide white cotton sling was wheeled in with 5 more babies uncovered, all sick, all entangled together with some slime at the bottom of this hamper. It reminded me of some salmon I caught one time, and I put them in a bucket, and the spawn was all over the bottom from on the bucket, and I was really grossed out at this point. But the nurses in the room were very good with the children and kept reaching down in the hamper and grabbing another baby, cleaning it, and setting it in a clear plastic tray under a heat lamp. While watching this, I was trying to clean the baby I was holding, and a nurse explained to me that this is the other maternity ward, that they received deformed babies from upstairs, that the young mothers that took drugs, meth, during their pregnancies. So I was so disappointed and shocked that there was even such a place in operation. This had to be the coldest place on earth. The whole room was gray with black. I felt like there was no hope or future or any options left. I was so perplexed on what to do. I woke up. Uh, I I decided the awful dream was caused from eating too much too late. Maybe I had pizza or something. I went to the bathroom and took my time and tried to do a mental reset. I remember that particular time. It was cold outside, and I actually went outside our house. We lived out in the country at the time, and I did a couple laps around the house to get me cold and to kind of wake me up and knock the chill off from the dream. And then I decided, I'll just go back to bed. It was just an awful dream. I'm not sure what that was about, but it was terrible. So I went back to bed, promising myself to think of a recent fishing trip I took. That was amazing fun. I fell asleep. I was standing in the same damn room, holding the same sick baby. I can't wake, and the babies just keep coming. I started to cry. Just then, I decided I'd try something I've never done in a dream before. Isn't that crazy? I decided to pray. I said an amazing prayer for all the babies and all the caregivers. Got an audience today. Right when I finished the prayer, I opened my eyes, and Jesus Christ walked in the room through the stainless double doors. The air bent as he came in the room. It felt like that movie, The Matrix, when the room bent, but not exactly, less dramatic, but more inviting. There were maybe 10 angels flying around him. The room had an energy I hadn't felt before. My heartbeat started racing. I never doubted for a second who he was and why he was there. As he walked toward me on my left, he stopped and faced the baby in the tray standing right next to me. And he and I are looking down at the deformed baby. He said, "Human impurity." My eyes drifted to an angel that was hovering and picking at the baby that I was still holding. I just couldn't believe the detail in the angel's wings. They looked like snowflakes on steroids. The angel was about 2 feet long, with amazing wings, and with a beautiful body, not human, but not animal either. They were very white, with a gentle glow about them. I never had seen anything like it before. Looking at it made me want to reach out and grab it and hug it, but I didn't. Let's see, I lost my place here. All the angels were separated into each tray, picking at the babies, like preparing them for something, picking at them. My eyes came back to the king. He held his hands out toward the first baby and healed the baby. It was simply the most beautiful thing Mm. Uh, I haven't told too many people this dream, and it really rocked me. It was simply the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. I was a witness to Jesus' healing powers right before my eyes. I was amazed, uh, but not out of my head. I don't know what that meant. I wrote that in 2012. I don't remember what that meant. I guess being crazy out of your head. I think when you experience something like that, you wouldn't be able to get your head around it, what was going on, but I sure did. I knew the work here had to be done, and I didn't want to interfere. We went on to all the babies, and he healed every one of them. When he finished, he walked toward the stainless steel double doors and stopped right before he exited and turned and looked at all of us in the room and said, "Take care of these babies. They will be very important to your race." At least I think I heard that right. Then he exited the room with the angels in tow, swirling around him like flies to honey. I noticed he was leaving. The air was bending again, this time away from me. It felt like a magnetic force sucking you with him. I remember this so clearly in this dream. I'm so glad I documented this. We all paused, I guess. I started talking first, surprise, surprise, and said, maybe we ought to tattoo all these babies on their heels so we always know which one was fixed by Jesus. What a stupid idea. I just added that in. All the nurses started talking, saying that it wasn't a good idea, and started tuning them out as I went into deep thought about what Jesus said. I had the thought, what if I had understood this before my kids were born? How much different might I have treated them knowing that Jesus Christ told me to take care of them as they were going to be the most important to our race? I woke up. I knew I wanted to document my dream, so I did. The following night, Christmas Day night, I couldn't wait to fall asleep in hopes of going back to the maternity ward and seeing Jesus again. I did manage to fall asleep, and I found myself in that room again. The room looked the same, all the trays were empty, and nobody was there. I was sad this time that I didn't get to see Jesus or the nurses or the babies. I drifted to another dream that wasn't very interesting. Yeah, I documented that. I'm glad I did. And I've had quite a few takeaways about this. I don't know if you've had dreams with Jesus in them. I don't know. That was my first one. And I consider this dream, as the years went on, it was the time that I met him for the second time. And I saw him just like I saw him when I was 5 in the staircase. But as life went on for me, I started getting um, um, as I talked to Jesus about other things, other relationships, other issues that I had in my life, I started asking him about, Lord, who are those babies? And he started revealing them to me. And every time he revealed one to me, it just rocked my world. I'm not going to go into who they were, what happened, but they were things that he had me move into to fix in my life, and then stop. Just do what he says to do and stop. And he will take care of the rest. I will share with you one of the baby story, one of the babies that were miraculously healed, and he revealed it to me a couple years ago. And I know those that you know me. We had a real hard time with my grandbaby, uh, our little boy, and we almost lost him. And it was touch and go for a long time when he was born. And it settled my heart because the Lord came to me and said, "This is one." Not too long ago, he came to me and said, This little boy is one of those babies." He ended up having a genetic disorder or something. The hospitals couldn't figure it out, but he is super healthy today. He's almost 2 years old, and I was so blessed to know that he was one of those babies, and that the Lord healed him. We were very nervous about losing him, but I thought I would share that prayer today. I've only told a couple people about the prayer, but the Lord's been on me to share it and 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 to talk about it, and talk about my witnessing of Jesus healing. I watched it happen. Okay, yeah, so it was in a dream, but still it was like right here. It was so real. The dream was so devastating that I had to get up and walk around the house in the middle of the night. That's how real it was. So talk to the Lord about your dreams. Ask him if they're real. Ask him to reveal what it meant or whatever. But I wanted to get this episode out because it has to do with being stalled out. All these episodes has to do with being stalled out. And when I get in chapter 3, I'm going to explain and wrap this whole thing together about all the tools that I've learned and hopefully you picked up through these videos. This dream really helped me not be so stalled out in my life. And if you guys have any questions or anything, or you want to talk about this, you know my numbers. We can chat about it. But looks like the sun just went down at the lake here. So time for me to get home. Talk to you later.